Eastern Nigeria, 1968. The Nigerian Civil War was raging. Roads that once connected villages now divided. Markets struggled to function. Transportation disappeared. Families became isolated. Hospitals remained open. Doctors still existed. Medicine could still save lives. But none of these things mattered if people could not reach them. War destroys more than lives. It destroys systems. And when systems collapse, ordinary people are forced to do extraordinary things. This is the story of one of those people. A man named Uweh, a husband whose wife was suffering from a condition that should have been treatable. A husband who would soon face a question no one should ever have to answer. How far would you go when every system designed to save the person you love has disappeared? Welcome to the African Archive, where the stories that shaped Africa's past are told to educate the future. It began as a small swelling, painful, annoying, nothing more. The sort of things villagers expected to disappear on its own, but it did not disappear. It grew, then grew again. Every morning, the pain was worse. Every evening, the swelling was larger. Soon, Uweh's wife struggled to sit. Then she struggled to walk. Then she struggled to sleep. Some nights, her cries would be heard outside the compound. Neighbors began whispering. Relatives offered remedies. Leaves were crushed. Herbs were prepared. Traditional treatments were attempted. Nothing worked. The boy continued growing until eventually even the strongest optimists became silent, and elders finally spoke the words nobody wanted to hear. She must go to the hospital. The problem was not finding a doctor. The problem was reaching one. The nearest hospital capable of helping her was in a distant town, nearly 2 days away. And between them and that hospital stood a country at war. Today, when someone is seriously ill, people think about medicine. In 1968, Uweh had a different problem: transportation. The cure existed, the doctors existed, the hospital existed, but the road connecting them had become a battlefield of uncertainty. Military checkpoints appeared everywhere. Travelers were questioned. Movement was restricted. Rumors spread constantly. One wrong encounter could end a journey. Yet every day we were delayed increased his wife's suffering and his chance of living again. Eventually, he made his decision. They would go, no matter what stood in their way. There was only one bicycle in the village, just one. Everyone knew who owned it. Everyone borrowed it when emergencies arose. For many villagers, it was the closest thing they had to modern transportation. We approached the owner of the bicycle, Mr. Uweh. He explained everything to him: the pain, the urgency, the distance, the danger. Could he help transport his wife? The man listened quietly, then shook his head. No, he answered. The answer hit Uweh like a hammer. The owner looked away. If soldiers stop us, who will feed my children? Nobody argued. Everyone understood. The roads were dangerous. The war was real. Helping could carry consequences. For several moments, neither man spoke. Then the bicycle owner sighed. I won't go, he paused, but you can take my bicycle. The villagers exchanged looks because everyone knew something else. Uweh could not ride a bicycle. Not poorly, not awkwardly. He cannot ride a bicycle at all. Yet, he accepted immediately, because when every option is gone, even an imperfect one becomes precious. Before dawn, the next morning, Uweh carefully settled his wife onto the bicycle. The village watched silently. Nobody offered encouragement. Nobody offered predictions because nobody knew whether they would succeed or return. The road stretched ahead, dusty, long, uncertain. We gripped the handlebars and began walking, one step at a time, then another, then another. Hour after hour, the bicycle carried her weight, but we carried everything else. The responsibility, the fear, the determination, the hope. The morning sun became afternoon. The afternoon sun became evening. Still, he walked, rolling the bicycle with his wife on top. The bicycle owner had given him wheels, but the engine remained Uweh himself. The first soldiers appeared shortly before sunset. Rifles cocked, sandbags were mounted, military uniforms. The checkpoints blocked the entire road. A soldier raised his hand. Halt! Uweh stopped. The soldiers approached him. Where are you going to? Who was the woman? Why was he traveling? Uweh froze. His English was limited. His fear was not. For a moment, he struggled for words. Then he raised 3 fingers, pointed towards the enormous boy, and muttered, 3 places, he said. The soldiers stared, confused. Then one of them stepped closer. He saw the wife's face, the pain, the suffering, the exhaustion. Everything changed. The soldier turned toward his commander. The commander looked once, then waved them through. They can go. The barrier was lifted. The journey continued. The deeper they traveled, the more visible the war became. Abandoned homes, families carrying possessions along the roadside, burnt vehicles left where they had stopped, empty market stores, villages usually quiet. Everywhere people looked worried. Everywhere uncertainty lingered. The war really appeared directly, but its fingerprints were everywhere. The country itself seemed exhausted, and still we were pushed forward. The 5th checkpoint was different. A young soldier stepped forward, aggressive, suspicious, impatient. You cannot pass. The word struck like a blow. Uweh's heart sank. His wife lowered her head. The journey could end here. 2 days of effort? Finished? The young soldier repeated himself. No passage, I said. The road suddenly felt much longer. Then an older soldier emerged from a nearby shelter. He looked at the bicycle, looked at the woman, looked at Uweh, then walked closer. What happened? Again, Uweh lifted his 3 fingers. Again, he pointed. Again, he muttered, 3 places. The older soldier bent down, examined the swellings, then stood silently. A long moment passed. Finally, he turned towards the younger soldier. Let them pass. The younger man protested. The older soldier cut him off. I said, let them pass. The barrier lifted. Once again, compassion defeated bureaucracy. The second day was worse, far worse. The excitement of beginning had disappeared. Now only exhaustion remained. Uweh's legs burned. His hands blistered. The feet were swollen. Each step felt heavier than the last. Yet he continued. Then came the moment that villagers would remember for years. Under the shade of a tree, Uweh finally stopped. His wife looked at him. Really looked at him. For the first time, she noticed how exhausted he had become. The sweat, the shaking hands, the trembling legs, the pain. Tears filled her eyes. Leave me here, he told Uweh. The words were barely audible. He said nothing. She continued. Go home. Silence followed. Let me just die here. For several seconds, neither spoke. The road was quiet. The war felt far away. The world seemed to stop. Then Uweh finally answered. No. His voice was calm, firm, certain. If death wants you, he lightened his grip on the bicycle. It will have to pass through me first. Then he began pushing again. Late on the second day, the town finally appeared. The hospital, the destination that have occupied every thought, the destination that have seemed impossibly distant, Uweh pushed the bicycle through the gates. Medical workers rushed towards them. His wife was examined immediately. Treatment began. At first, relief arrived. The journey was over, but the story was not yet. Years later, people no longer remember the name of the soldiers. They no longer remember the name of the nurses. Many no longer remember the exact year, but they remembered Uweh because this was never really a story about a boil or a bicycle or even a war. The deeper story was about systems. People rarely notice systems when they work and when they function properly. We notice them when they fail, when roads became dangerous, when transportation disappears, when hospitals became distant, and the emergencies became journeys. Only then do we discover the true value of things we take for granted. The Nigerian Civil War disrupted transportation. It damaged infrastructures. It separated ordinary people from essential services. But it also revealed something extraordinary, the strength hidden inside ordinary people. Because when transportation failed, Uweh became transportation. When infrastructure collapsed, his family became infrastructure. When the ambulance system disappeared, one husband became the ambulance. And perhaps that is why this story survived. Because long after the checkpoints vanished, long after the war ended, long after the 3 places were healed, people still remember the man who pushed a bicycle for 2 days through a country falling apart, so the woman he loved can survive. Thank you, and please subscribe and like our channel and comment. This is African Archive. See you on the next one.